Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for choosing Across the Fence. I'm Will Michael in this afternoon for Judy Simpson. By and large, the month of April hasn't felt much like spring. It's actually felt a lot like winter. We hope that's finally beginning to change, and so today we're going to look ahead to the gardening season, which, again, we hope is just around the corner. Joining me are two frequent guests from the University of Vermont. It's always a pleasure to welcome in Leonard Perry and Ann Hazelrig. Thank you both for coming in.
Great to be back, Will.
Leonard, the only thing that I think is hot this April are your Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, they've been amazing. You know, they're setting all these records, and it's been fun to watch.
Get us started today. Hopefully we're headed towards the gardening season.
Yeah, I think it's around the corner. We need to be ready, because I think this year when it comes, it's going to hit, you know, because it's so late. But so get ready. One of the things I'm doing is starting seeds. That's another thing that's been hot, or my heat mat. So do the seedling flats, you know, not too hot, but just warm, keeping those flats warm. Seedlings are coming up. It's a great time to start indoors to get a head start on the outdoors when it is time to plant out. Making sure your garden tools are ready. One of the things I like to do this time of year is the bulb catalogs are coming. I like to look at those and go online to order the bulbs now when you can get really good deals. They'll be shipped in the fall, and you plant them then for next spring. So you're thinking a year out.
So he's already thinking 2019.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to think that far ahead, but I just love to look at the color. And actually, I brought some photos of one in particular, well, a couple in particular that I like. So to start with, this time of year. Now these, if they look wooden, they are. Now these are perennial.
But they have color.
Yeah, they have color, and I put these out each year. I actually made these just 1x4. Great winter indoor project to make some tulips, put them out. You'll have color, and they'll just last. And a
great conversation.
Yeah, and take them in for the next year. But really, the real bulbs that are great are the dwarf iris that come out really early, about the time of the snowdrops. They've been out in my garden. This one is a little bit less common. This is a yellow one. The iris bucolica is the name, but it's a low dwarf. These are only about 6 inches high, and this makes a nice mass. They're very hardy. They really do well for year after year. That's one of my top favorite of the dwarf iris, but this is more typical. This is a cultivar called Harmony. It's more typical bluish color. Again, about 6 inches. They come up really early. Sometimes there's still some snow on the ground. Another one that's really nice is this light blue one, Catherine Hodgkin, just to show you some of the variation with that nice marking on those flowers. Again, you have to kind of get down to see those, or put them up a little bit. I put them right by the steps, right by the windows, so you can look out when the snow's going and you can see some color. And then this is a purplish one called Pauline, which is really nice. So just a lot of variation in the dwarf iris. Again, one that are bulbs. You order them and plant them next fall for the following spring, so they'll be up real early.
I just want to thank you for bringing some color.
I thought it'd be nice. I just love seeing color.
Now, just a quick follow-up. I think we all know this. You mentioned snow over some of these things, and you can look outside during the last 10 days or so and see green poking up. Everything's going to be fine. Just leave it alone.
It will be, yeah. A lot of those, in fact, I have some early daffodils that actually saw some buds, so hopefully it's not going to get too cold for those. Luckily, we've had some snow, which does provide some insulation, but generally those buds are still down there. Even if you see some green, those are just the leaves. So as long as they're in the ground, they're getting some nice warmth in there still. May not seem warm to us, but to them, and so they should be okay.
Well, speaking of some warmth, that leads to movement and migration. You have some other things that I know you're going to talk about. You brought in a couple of props. What else do you have?
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about hummingbirds, because they're coming, but I mentioned earlier getting tools ready. Now, It may not seem like it now with everything's muddy and wet out, but one of the things that I wanted to show is watering tools. And I brought a couple of what are called watering wands in here to show a couple of items about these. One is these are great to reach pots. You don't have to bend over. Getting your flowers that way when you're hand watering, so you're not squirting water everywhere. And the thing that keeps it from doing that are what are called water breakers on the end. Now, there are two sizes. I like this smaller one because you can, when you're watering pots, you can just really water just, you know, and it has little holes that the water comes out. So you're just putting water where it needs to be. Again, you're not squirting with a nozzle. This is a little bit larger one if you're doing a bigger area, say a whole garden bed. Now, the other thing that keeps the water from just continually coming out are the handles. Now, these have a couple of types. One is you just press it like you would a normal watering handle, and it lets the water out and stop. So you're, again, not watering water all the time. This one is a little different one. if you don't want to use your hand so much, you can use your thumb and just push the thumb on this, and it's just leave it on or off.
A little slower flow.
A little bit slower flow, yeah. So it's a little bit easier that way to adjust the flow rate than.
I'm always
other
jealous
handle.
when I go to do some spring shopping and I see the professionals at the big shops. They have these, and it's like giving your plants a shower.
And you can actually, you can buy these at a lot of garden stores now. So that's one of the things of watering. But before that is, think about the hummingbirds. These little creatures have been flying for hundreds, thousands of miles. They'll be here usually the first part of May, so get ready for those. And the way I get ready is you have hummingbird feeders, which you can put the liquid in, which you can buy, but really I just make my own. It's 1 part of sugar to 4 parts of water. So, and 1 part sugar, 4 parts water, no food coloring in it. They don't need that. They see plenty of red here. They're attracted to it. I've had different feeders over the years. They really seem to be coming back to these. They just love these. It has a bee guard on it here that keeps the bees from getting in there. The thing about this that's a little bit improved is you see a little depression at the top. You put water in that, and that keeps the ants from coming in and getting it. So a couple of real nice features on those.
And that really is awesome. And they need that energy. They have come so far by the time we see them. And I'm not sure exactly, but it's thousands of miles.
Yeah, and they have. And you can actually track this. And there are a couple of sites you can go to learn more about hummingbirds. Brought the websites for those. There's quite a few different ones, but hummingbirds.net or hummingbirdcentral.com. In both of these, and again, there's some others out there as well. These are just a couple I use. And they have maps on there. And I actually brought a sample of one, and this is just an enlarged portion of the Northeast as of, you see, the 18th of April. Those are spottings, and you can actually go on and check and put your little mouse on the computer over those and see when and where exactly they were. So you see central Pennsylvania, the middle of April. So by the end of April, they'll probably be up to southern Vermont, northern Vermont by the first week of May. Usually that's kind of what happens. So it's fun to go in every few days and just see how these are coming north.
It's like tracking your air flight.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, but these are little creatures, these little things, and it's just amazing how far they go.
That's
and
awesome.
I like to be ready and really have a treat for them when they arrive.
That is awesome, and obviously a sign of spring.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to turn it over to you. You told me this morning you have a question that you want to ask Ann
Actually,
about.
I do, and this year...
Put her on the spot.
Yeah, I've had the bugs inside. You know, it used to be cluster flies. This year I've been overrun with lady beetles.
Yeah.
Okay, and ladybugs. And I was wondering, first question, if there's anything to do other than just vacuum those up.
Yeah.
Another thing sometimes I find is a little about 1 inch long brown bug in there. Looks kind of wicked, but you know, I was wondering if you knew what that might be.
Yeah, it's been a big year this year for home invaders, these nuisance pests. We've gotten so many calls at the Master Gardener Helpline and in the Plant Diagnostic Clinic, and it's basically 4 different insects that are invading our homes, and none of them are harmful. This is the first one. It's called Western Conifer Seed Bug, and this one looks imposing.
It sure
almost
does.
That's my bug,
I know.
right there.
But it doesn't bite. I always just pick these up and relocate them outside. But they're about almost 1 inch long. They actually feed on conifer seeds, but all of these insects in the fall, they're all looking for a warm place to spend the winter. So they congregate a lot on southwest sides of homes, especially the lady beetles, the Asian multicolored lady beetles and box elder bugs. They congregate on the southwest walls where it's sunny, and then as it gets colder, they just find every crack and crevice to get in.
So they're just able, whether it's under the clapboards or whatever you have.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so once they're in, they don't harm structures or clothing or bite, although the little lady beetle causes a little bite. Okay. That's more surprising than hurtful.
So we have a couple of other images to get to. What was the name again of that first one?
So the first one was the Western Conifer Seed Bug. This next one is called the brown marmorated stink bug, and it's a shield-shaped bug and it's called a stink bug. If you squish these, they stink.
We've come in contact. It's almost like they're like little armored guys.
Yeah, these guys are invasive. They're pretty new pests. They're really a very destructive pest in the mid-Atlantic states, in peach crops, vegetable crops. So far in Vermont, they've just been home invaders. We're not seeing any crop damage.
They're a pest as opposed to an agricultural problem.
They're a huge agricultural pest.
And that's different from the stink bugs we've always had up here.
Well, those are native. The green stink bug that we had a few years ago that was really prolific, those are common. They're also ag pests. But this brown marmorated stink bug has really been a huge pest in the more southern areas. But so far, it's just a nuisance pest for us.
Well, something else you've been working with relates to Leonard's question, and it's something I saw you on the Channel 3 News several nights ago talking about.
This Asian multicolored lady beetle, this is a good guy, actually. It was introduced in the 60s, I think, to feed on aphids and scale insects. But it's just proliferated, and the larvae of it, or the nymph of this insect, is on the right, and that's a good guy too. You don't ever want to control that if you see it in your garden, because they're feeding on aphids and things like that. But again, oh my gosh, I have piles of these in a new garage we're building every day. For some reason, they just come in, and then as soon as the weather gets a little warmer, they become really active. And the problem is they can stink, and they also they have this great little superpower that they can eject this liquid from their leg joints that is stinky and
And
yeah.
stains
The things
too.
we
And it
learn
stains.
across the
I know.
fence.
It's so cool.
Fascinating. Now, again, this morning, there was one other image you showed me, and I don't know much about it, but I've seen this because it's the red part that stood out to me.
Right. This is another home invader, the box elder bug. Again, it congregates on southwest sides of houses, feeds on box elders. And so this is one we can also see on the inside. But mainly it's been the lady beetle and the western conifer seed bug.
Excellent updates. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, Leonard, earlier you were highlighting some tools. I know you have more. You always bring in tools.
This is one I brought a picture of. It's just too big to bring in, and so I wanted to show a broad fork. Now, I don't know where I've been all my life without one of these, but I've got one now. And this just shows a picture of, they have these tines that go down. That's about anywhere 18 to 24 inches wide, and handles go up, you hold, and you push that in the ground and just wiggle it. And that basically loosens the soil. It's an alternative to tilling.
Aeration.
Aeration, basically. And this is the one I got. It's got a rounded part you step on, and it's got these metal tines, very sturdy. And again, you just wiggle it back and forth, like in my raised bed there, and just loosen up that soil. A great thing to do in the spring. So I'm eager to get out, but I've got to wait till that soil dries to start working it.
There we go again. Hey, just a brief amount of time left, and our regular viewers know that you are offering tours. Where are you headed, and any room left on any of your buses?
Okay, well, July, I've talked about that tour overnight to Gardens of Western New England. That is full. So no more room on that one, but I've got one that's going to be out very soon. Check my website, and that's a day trip up to Montreal in September to see the Chinese lanterns. Again, my website's Perry's Perennial Pages, www.perrysperennials.info, and I'll have the link up there to all the information on this day trip to Montreal in September.
And as I recall in the past, if people are going to your website from there, they can email you and you can get information out to them.
On the tours part, I've got a place you can just get on my list so they'll get information for all future tours.
Before we go, I also want to point out that as we head into the spring, UVM Extension and the Master Gardener program is going to always be there to answer questions throughout the season. It's the website and the helpline that we're going to put on the screen. Thank you to our director, Adam Wright. You can submit questions, is that right? Questions and images, Ann, by going through the website. Or if it's easier, just call the toll-free 800 number that's there at the bottom of the screen, 639-2230, that's staffed with volunteers who are they're some of the most knowledgeable people that I've met.
Yeah, they're good gardeners.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to thank you both very much for coming on. A very good discussion. And next time I see you, it will be green.
It will be.
I hope. All right. Thank you both. That is our program for today. We know you have choices, so thanks for choosing us. I'm Will Michael, inviting you to join us back here each weekday afternoon for another visit Across the Fence.